a South Sudan-based journalist, Kiden Lucy. She will be telling us about, we are talking about World Press Freedom Day, and this year's theme is information as a public good, right? So, Lucy, please tell us, what is your take on the press freedom in South Sudan generally?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that press freedom is a very, very important thing. Everybody should have access to information, but also should be able to disseminate that information freely. And when it comes to how it's done, it's usually the media and journalists, people who are professionally prepared to handle information and disseminate it. So in South Sudan, I would say we're fairly somewhere, given the past. In the past, we've had cases of journalists being arrested and threatened. We've also had journalists being killed in South Sudan. But we have come to a certain level of understanding that press freedom is important, but there are still restrictions. And so I would say that there is still a serious need to make sure that press freedom is actually felt by those that the media and the journalists.
Thank you for that. I mean, it's one day at a time, right?
One day at a time.
Right. So this year the theme is information as a public good, and we are in a pandemic time, right? It's been 1 year plus right now, still with the COVID with us. So information, like how vital was information, and especially during COVID, to fight against the virus, and especially, in your opinion, especially in South Sudan, as a journalist, I'm sure one day or another you've been doing this thing every day.
As a journalist, from a far end, from what I've viewed and how I've worked as well, information has been very key in this pandemic, because this is a pandemic where if you do not have the information, you will contract the virus and die without knowing why you're even dead, You needed to know that these are the symptoms. You needed to know that this is how it's spread. You needed to know that this is how you avoid. Wear a mask, wash your hands. That is the information we're talking about. And so I think in South Sudan, radios played a very big role trying to get the information out. And there was this interesting method by the Blue Bicycle, where bicycles were riding around with recorded messages. And TV, we technically have only one TV in South Sudan. So, but there was a bit of a, they also tried. But so information is very key in such a time. Now, what I noticed also was that there was what we called the misinfodemic that happened, where a lot of misinformation about the virus was being spread, and there was a need to tackle that. And I saw very many journalists and as well as the media counter disinformation, as well as organizations like Defy It Now and some of the radio stations around, iRadio, Radio Miraya. They worked so hard to fact check information and make sure that the news that come out has the right information. Even programming started changing, and everyone was incorporating COVID information. Exactly. So, and the translations as well. So I think we tried to disseminate the right information to the right people, but there's still more to be done because of the remote areas that don't have access to the radio stations. They don't have access to radio, they don't have access to online. The digital age has really helped, but not everybody can access internet in South Sudan.
Especially in South Sudan, it's such a big challenge.
Very, very huge challenge. With network.
Poor network even in Juba. Right. Okay. So thank you for that. And also, what is your thought? How can we advance transparency to empower media in South Sudan? Because you're talking about media, and you talk about we collect the information, but the dissemination, which comes now with the transparency and accountability, and how we can actually empower media in South Sudan so that everybody moves collectively. We talk about remote areas in South Sudan that don't reach information. And people in Juba also, some of them don't, because maybe of internet issues, or maybe they don't have enough funds to buy data to log online or something like that.
That's true.
So how can we advance transparency and also maybe to empower media in South Sudan?
As far as transparency, first of all, I think I'd like to pinpoint on censorship. I didn't mention it earlier.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of censorship going on. And so this is something that keeps journalists on the edge. You don't, sometimes we're even forced to censor ourselves before, before you produce the story.
Exactly.
Yes, you have to look again, you proofread like 10 times because you don't want to be penalized. Exactly. So I think that keeps us on edge and holds us back from actually doing our job in getting the actual details, because at some point we didn't know how many deaths were there, and it was very crucial to know that this virus kills. There was a period where it was not clear, are people dying? Is for coronavirus in South Sudan? Are there people who have been tested positive? So there was that question mark. Having that is very it's very dangerous. So there's a quote that says, okay, I'm not going to get it right, but I'm going to try and paraphrase it. When there is no information, that lack of information, when there's uncertainty, that will definitely lead to chaos. Because you don't know what's going to happen, you do not know what is happening, and so you're just going to act randomly. So when you make informed decisions, you'll definitely progress. So it's very important to be transparent, especially for our government. For this case of the pandemic, you have the Ministry of Health. It's at the core of it. The international organizations are there to support the Ministry of Health. So the Ministry of Health needs to be very transparent, be it donations or be it testing, where is testing happening, who is the one authorized to be testing, what is the process of getting these people to be the ones to test. People need to know that such things are that they care about them enough for them to have this information. So once you have that, there's a level of trust, and then whatever information comes, people are able to go with it. But now, if there's no transparency, that means even when the information comes out, there is still a doubt. There's still a doubt. That's when someone says corona kills, they're like, no, but we are still alive. Corona, These are just, rumors being cooked for. So we need that transparency, and the way it can be done is it starts it really truly starts with the government, but also the media needs to verify and produce fact-check information. If you post a story that is not fact-check and then you take it down, it's still going to cause some level of mistrust. As much as you go and take it down and say, sorry, we post, it's still, you've already created some level of doubt. But then if you always posting right things, right content, then people will trust you. And then that information will have an impact. It will be of good to the public.
Okay. Your last message on the World Press Freedom Day.